Hello, Mr. Foley here, and I'm going to talk about some different methods to use to multiply whole numbers. So we'll start with what's called the standard algorithm. The standard algorithm is probably the most popular method you're going to see. So we will just make two-digit times two-digit numbers here. So I'll just make up 23 times 47. Okay. So what's going to happen is I have to multiply the 7 times 23, and then I got to multiply the 4, which is really 40 because it's in the tens place, times 23. And it's going to give me two partial products, and then I have to add them together. So the very first partial product that I'm going to have here is going to really be 23 times 7. That's what that's going to be. The way we would go about doing this is I'm going to look at 7 times 3 first, and that's going to give me a product of 21. Now, I have to regroup because 21 has a 2 in the tens place and the 1 in the ones place. So I'm going to regroup the 2 up here, and the 1 is going to go right there in the ones place. And the next thing I'm going to do is multiply the 7 times the 2, which is 14, and then I got to add in my regroup, which is 16, and I'll write 16 right there like that. So that's my first product. That's representing 23 times 7. And now my next partial product, I'm going to put another bar here so we can see that. This is going to be, remember the 4 is actually 40, so it's going to be 40 times 23, or maybe I should say that the same way I did before, 23 times 40. Okay. Anytime you multiply, one of your factors has a 0 in it like this, the ones place will always have a 0 in it. Okay, so if I see a 0 in the ones place on one of my factors, the ones place in my product will have a 0. And this is the reason why we put a 0 placeholder right there. Okay, so once we put the 0 placeholder there, now we forget about that, if that makes sense. So it's already taken care of. That 0 has already been taken care of here. And now I'm just going to do just 4 times 23. So we start this way, 4 times 3, and that's 12. If I'm doing this on pencil paper, I always cross out my previous regroup so I don't get confused. So 12 is a regroup the 1, 2 goes down, and then we do 4 times 2, that's 8, plus the regroup is 1, 9, and that's what we have. And then at this point, we are ready to add those partial products together, and we get 1 plus 0 is 1, 6 plus 2 is 8, 9 plus 1 is 10. You don't really have to regroup because there's nothing else here, so you just put the whole 10 there and then put your comma, and we have 1081. So that's standard algorithm, and that's one method. I'm going to use different numbers as I move forward. So let's look at what we call partial products. So partial products, that did have partial products, but full partial products are going to be another way we could look at this. And it's not really that hard once you get the hang of it. So I'm just going to make up another number. I'll do 47 times 83. I don't know, like that. Now, the partial products are going to be this. And the first thing I'm going to do is multiply the ones place times the ones place. Okay, and it doesn't really matter where you start, but I'm going to start there. So that's going to be 21. So I'm going to put 21 right here. And I'm going to just, for reference, that's 7 times 3. Okay. Then I'm going to do this 4 times this 8. Now this 4 times 8, this 8 is really 40 times 80. So let me write that first. 40 times 80. If you remember, we talked about multiplying numbers that end in 0 or that are multiples of 10. We do, the way I showed you to do this was box in the 4, box in the 8, write that down, that's 32. Then count your zeros in all of your factors. There are 2 zeros, so we're going to put 2 zeros right there. So that partial product, let me do it in orange here, that is 3,200. So 3,200. Now I'm not done because I have more partial products I have to do. I have to do the crisscross. I have to do this 80 times this 7, and then I can do this 40 times this 3. So let's put that together. So let's do the 40 times the 3. Okay, now that's going to be 12 with 1 0 after it, or 120. So I'm going to write 120 here. And then I got to do the 80 times 7. So I'm going to do 80 times 7. Again, 8 times 7 is 56. Add a 0, you have 560. And those are all the individual partial products of this problem. We have to add all those up. So the 1 comes down here. 2, 4, and 6 is 10. That's a regroup. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the 3 comes down for 3,901. So that would be partial products. With practice, it's not that bad. I'll give you another example of partial products. Partial products, let's just make up a number like 87 times 35. Okay? You're going to have, these are going to be your partial products. You're going to have the 80 times the 30. You're going to have the 80 times the 5. Then you're going to do the 30 times the 7. And then you're going to do the 7 times the 5. Okay, those are all of them. So you kind of have to look at this, and you got to go this way, this way, this way, and this way. You got to do all of those to get them all in there. Okay, so 2,400. This will be 400. This is 21 with a 0, 210, and then 35. If we add all those up, we'll get our answer. 5, that's a 4, that's a 10, that's a regroup, and then that's a 3. So there's another example of that. Okay. Now let's move on and check. Another way to do this is what is often referred to as the box method. Okay. This is really good for anybody that has maybe a little difficulty in math, maybe just has a difficult time with all those other methods. So let's say I'm trying to do a problem like 28 times 74. Okay. What I do is I'm going to make a box, and I'm going to divide it in half vertically. I'm going to divide it in half horizontally. And I'm going to write, it doesn't matter which one you write here, but I'm going to write 28 along the top and then come down the side with 74. Okay, and you got to kind of do it in that way. So it's, you could put multiply there. So it's got to be written in this order here. You can't mix it up. You can't put the 4 here and the 7 here. So it has to be that way. And then what I do, and some teachers will teach this differently. This is the way I do it. I draw a diagonal division through here. And what that does is it establishes each box is going to have a place for the 1s and a place for the 10s. And that's why I do it that way. Okay. So you can pick any one you want to start with. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do this 2 times this 7. And 2 times 7 is 14. So remember, 10s place, 1s place, like that. Again, it doesn't matter what order. You can jump around. 8 times 4 is 32. So I'll put 3 in the 10s. 2 in the 1s. 8 times 7 is 56 there. And then 2 times 4 is 8. I don't have anything in the 10s place, just the 8 goes in the 1s, right? 2 times 4 is 8. And then now what we do is we're going to add them starting from right to left in this direction. We're going to have our 1s place, 10s place, hundreds, and thousands when we add these up. Regroup if necessary. So 2 comes down right here. So we got 3 and 6 is 9, 9 and 8 is 17. That's a regroup. I got to put the 1 up and the 7 goes here. And then here I'm going to have another regroup. 5, 4 is 9, and 1 is 10. So I got to regroup. Another 1's going to go here, and then the 0 comes here. And then 1 and 1 is 2, so that goes right there. So I have 2,072. So that's the box method. And, you know, with practice, it's really pretty easy. And what it does is it all those partial products go away, and you can just do it that way. Okay. And then there's like what I would consider maybe the advanced method. I don't know if there's a name for this, but I'm going to call it the advanced method. And I think it's advanced because it's really for advanced students, because there's a lot of, I guess it's just a little bit harder. Maybe that's why. So let's say that I had something, let's start something simple. So let me do like 32 times 23. This will be really easy to show you, and then I'll show you a harder method. And this one goes right to the product. It's kind of pretty cool. So 3 times 2 gives me my ones digit. Now I have to cross multiply in each way, and then I'm going to add those two together. So 3 times 3 is 9. I'll write that here. I don't usually do it. I just usually do it mental math. That's why I say it's advanced. 2 times 2 is 4. And I'm going to add those two together, and that gives me 13. Now, what happens is with 13, I'm going to regroup 1 like you normally would, and the 3 comes down like that. And then I'm going to multiply this way, 3 times 2. That's 6. I'm going to add my regroup at 7. So I go right directly to the answer, you know. So if you don't believe that's true, we can do standard algorithm, and we can see that it's a lot more work, but if you can mentally math do it, then it's quite easy. So we're going to put a 0 placeholder. That's going to be a 4. I know I'm going a little bit faster. I'm just trying to get real quick to the answer. So you can see it, and there it is. So another example of that advanced method, using a little bit harder, I'll kind of show you how it can look. You can really kind of amaze people when you get good at this, because they just sort of like, wow, you didn't do any partial products. So let's say that I had 62 times 38, something like that, right? So this is going to put a 6 in the ones place. I got to regroup that 1. Okay, this is 6 side to side. This way is 6. 3 times 2. This is 48. Okay, so 48 plus 6 is going to give me 54. Then I add the 1, I got 55. So now I'm going to regroup a 5 and put a 5 here. And I'm going to multiply this way, it's 18, and then I add the 5. So 18 and 5 is 23, and I go right to my product right there. So that's just another method. Okay, so there's some methods. You can really just get one that you like and then practice it. That's the best way. And then just a couple more things on multiplication that we should always remember. And I mentioned this before, but if we're taking something like 700 times 300, we should always don't write that out and regroup all those, or not regroup, but put all those zeros in partial products and then add it all up. That's insane. Just look at the 7 and the 3, right? Write that product down. That's 21. Then we count our zeros, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Put 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros right there, and there's your answer, just like that. So always use that method. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to make the math a lot more fun and enjoyable than doing it the other way. So I'm going to stop the video right there. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and let me know, give me some feedback. Mrs. Foley says I speak too fast. So if you think I'm speaking too fast, please let me know and I'll try to slow down. I am trying to keep the videos around 10 minutes. It's kind of difficult, so that's maybe part of it. But I could go slower, make the videos longer. I just don't want you to lose interest and make a long video that's boring and you turn off before you finish it. So that's it for now. Have a great day, and practice your math.